Hello, and welcome to Segments Has Spoken, a Survivor Fancast. I am Mark, and with me as always is my co-host Amber.
Hello.
Amber, we literally just finished watching the second episode of Ghost Island, and this game always keeps you guessing.
Yeah, big changes already in the second episode.
So where do we want to start, Amber? So this is a little bit more off the cuff than our big segments podcast, which is pretty planned out. We just got done with the show. We've got some notes here. Let's. What do you want to talk about? Where do you want to jump in?
Well, I say we jump right in with the tribe swap. That's how the show began.
That was crazy. So we expected a reward challenge.
Yeah, they're walking to the beach. They stand on their mats. Jonathan comes in from Ghost Island.
And he's shorter than I expected.
In stature?
In stature.
Then
not because of Ghost Island, but just it seemed like...
That's the part they didn't tell you. You lose an inch every time you go to the island. You're safe from immunity, but for the rest of your life, you'll be an inch shorter. That's serious right there.
You remember last episode when Stephanie was like, well, what if we need a little person to shove up inside of something in challenge? And so maybe I was just like, look at the little guy.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So, but he did seem a little bit shorter this time than I expected. But he comes back, and all of a sudden, Jeff says, drop your buffs.
Drop your buffs.
I say, what?
Yeah.
And
this is day 7 of the entire thing. That's very early.
Yeah, I don't know if they've ever done it this early. So they drop the buffs, and Jeff has 2 plates with little packages that contain different colored buffs, and everybody gets a buff. And I think it must have been planned out that there would be a majority of old Navidi on both tribes because they had won both challenges.
Yeah, they kind of earned their right to still be majority on both tribes.
Yep, and so they just didn't know who was going to be those majority on which tribe. And so Malolo, Old Malolo, we'll call them tonight. Old Malolo is in a tough spot because they are 4-5 on both tribes now.
Yeah, that's rough.
And so it wasn't looking good for them.
I don't know if we want to talk about names on which tribe, but we're still learning everybody's names. But there's some players that kind of rose to the surface this time as far as big players. But yeah, for our Old Malolo tribe, we had Jonathan, James, Libby, and Laurel were sticking together on one side, and then we had Brendan, Michael, Stephanie Johnson, and Jenna on the other side, trying to hold their ground against 5 of the old Navidi people on each side.
And we're just banging things around over there.
Yeah, if you heard that, it was very small, very, very small sound on our end, but could be large on your end.
So let's talk first, Amber, about New Malolo. Okay, so who are the old Malolo people on New Malolo? That's too confusing.
That's super confusing.
Navidi. Okay. This game is so confusing.
Apparently, the original Navidi tribe had a much better beach. Because
that's
the people
great.
Who came over to the Malolo beach were complaining a lot. This is dirt. It's all dirt, and there's no place to sit, and we don't have a living room.
Yeah, and so last episode we said we're kind of bummed we didn't hear from certain people, and we heard from a lot of those people in this episode, and one of them was Bradley, who's on the new Malolo tribe, and he was like, ours has sand and you guys just have dirt, and then one time Brandon was talking to Bradley, and he's like, look at that sunrise, it's just so beautiful, he's like, that doesn't get old or something, and Bradley's like, I just wish I was over at Navidi.
Yeah, like, come on, dude, you're not necessarily going back.
Yeah,
you just need to embrace your new tribe. You only had 7 days to get used to it.
Yeah, exactly. And so they did kind of make it seem like, Malolo's tribe, it's just as fine. Everything's, this is just how it is. This is Survivor. But when they did go back over to the Navidi tribe, when the edit went back over there, it was like, they've got like lounge chairs.
Well, they won those chairs in a competition. I don't think I've ever seen chairs on Survivor before. Yeah. That does make it look real inviting.
Yeah, and they're like, there's 2 fire pits.
I feel like they have a waterfall in the background. I don't know. It just looked like a little slice of paradise.
It does have a way different feel, but I think that old Navidi should have maybe kept a little tighter lips.
Yes, you don't need to be the one who's just sitting around complaining.
Yeah, and so that was pretty crazy.
Absolutely.
And so all of a sudden the the old Malolo people on both tribes are feeling a little bit unsafe. And so Stephanie and Libby, oh, Amber, help me with this. Stephanie, Libby, Michael, and Brandon maybe all go looking for an idol. I don't think it was Libby. I think it was Jenna.
Yep.
They all go, they're like, we're in trouble. We need this idol. And so
yeah, they're uncovering bugs. They're uncovering termites. They're looking in places that would be scary to look.
Yep.
What can they find?
And who was it that found it?
It was Brett? No. Michael. It was Michael. It's crazy that, you just say, I'm going to look for an idol and you find it. Why don't people look more? I feel like we've seen that twice already.
Yeah. And I think that it was because they were in such a bad position that they were willing to go out during the day so boldly to look for the idol.
Because that does put a target on your back.
But people do not like it when you're out there looking for an idol. And that's why we saw last week Dominic was gone. He's like, well, I'll sleep after the competition. I'm going to stay up all night looking for an idol.
Yeah, in the tropical island in the dark. Nah, I would not be reaching out for that.
That would not be safe, no.
So, yeah, Bradley finds the idol, and it is an idol from Survivor China.
Yeah, and I think they said it was from 2007, and he gave us a great little backstory.
Yeah, that was nice for those of us who haven't seen all these back seasons yet.
And Michael's backstory as well, that the first season he watched was the 2007 China season, and that was the one where this guy got voted out with 2 idols in his hands, and now he's holding one of these idols. And I think that was just nice.
Absolutely.
I like those.
He said he was only 8 years old.
Yeah.
So is he the young one?
No.
2007, 18.
Is he the young one?
I think he might be.
Michael. Yeah, I think he is. He's the real
He's
estate agent
pretending that he's 23, but he's really only 18.
That's right.
So that was another way to kind of point out how young he was. If in 2007 he was 8 years old.
Oh, good point, Amber.
Watching that show. So the thing is, that thing was huge. It was like a huge tile. And they said that it was part of an archway decoration that this James from China just happened to peel off and realize was an idol.
That was crazy.
Oh, my word. Should they be taking apart the tribal council area to see if there's an idol there?
And so that makes Jacob's pouring the rice into his sock seem much less crazy if stuff like that has happened in the past.
I guess so.
I still think that's super gross.
And then also, did he carry those around everywhere? Like nowadays you get a little necklace and you kind of bunch it up and stick it in your shorts. He couldn't have carried that giant tile to tribal council, especially if he had 2.
Yeah, that does seem odd. And so I don't know. Where is that idol now? I don't know. Is it just in Michael's back pocket or in his back?
It's huge. It's not going to fit in a back pocket. And by the way, another thing I wanted to mention, everyone is only wearing underwear, so there's literally no place. It used to be bathing suits. Yeah. Which kind of made sense because you're literally in the water constantly all day long every day and it's hot and you can't bring a lot of changes of clothes. But this is not bathing suits. This is underwear. Yeah, these are boxer briefs. These are the girls too, just a bra. And it just seems weird.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Wouldn't a bathing suit be more durable?
Yeah, wouldn't anything be more durable? Man, if I wore shorts, I would be sweltering. So I'm just going to wear my underwear.
Or you're worried about chafing?
Yeah.
I would think there's not a lot of protection for a man in just the underwear. I feel like things could slip for either of them when they're in their competitions. It's just strange to me.
Yeah, I don't like that.
No, we're not fans of that part.
So, Amber, before we get to the competition, what was the deal with Dominic? He has this real idol and a fake idol.
That's right.
And then he showed people his fake idol and said it was the fake idol.
He's not admitting to them that he has a real idol. The only person he admitted he had a real idol to was Chris, and it backfired. So now he's got this fake idol, and he's telling everybody this is all it was all along. He's trying to not have them think he has an actual idol.
But he showed Chris the paperwork of the actual idol and the fake. He showed the actual paperwork and a fake idol. So where would he have gotten that? So Chris knows that he's got a real idol because he's seen the paperwork.
Chris knows, but the other team, he just showed him a tree mail letter. It wasn't the real thing.
That is very
He's trying
odd.
to play it really close. This is what I showed Chris, but it's not quite what he showed Chris. It's very, very confusing.
Yeah. I think the fake idol situation is just a bad way to go. I've not seen that be successful. I've not seen that be beneficial for anybody?
Yeah, well, I did hear another podcast within the past week say where they were interviewing Jacob, who got voted off last week, and they told him it was a really smart move to make a fake idol.
Really?
So there must be times that's worked really well. We haven't gotten any feedback that's directed us to those seasons yet. Maybe we will. I don't know. It's hard to Google a season that involves a fake idol working well so that we can watch it without being spoiled.
Exactly.
That's the tricky part.
That's the tricky part.
We just need somebody to tell us what season to watch next.
Yeah, I don't quite understand what he's doing there. So let's talk, Amber, about the immunity challenge.
Yeah, it was again immunity and reward, which I thought was interesting. I don't know why they're combining them. I guess because it's still so many people, it's hard to get all the conversations you need in 1 hour and have the competition and have Ghost Island. Ghost Island does take up some extra time.
Yes.
So they combined them again, and the reward is only a tarp. At the beginning of the season, awards aren't great.
Yeah.
It's just basically what you need for survivor and a little survival and a little bit of creature comforts.
Yeah, they want to get them real hungry before they start offering food for those reward challenges.
Yeah, eventually the rewards are very desirable.
But they're not going to get... I'm sorry, I'm going off a little bit here.
Okay.
I don't think they're going to get too hungry if they keep going to the Ghost Island, because they apparently have unlimited rice.
So we've seen several seasons with Exile Islands, which you would think would be the same thing. They pick a player to go to Exile Island. There's nothing. They have if they're lucky, maybe they have a flint to try to make fire. I think some of them haven't even had a flint.
Yeah.
There's zero
brutal.
food. They're literally pulling raw bugs out from under rocks and eating raw crabs that they catch in the ocean.
There's no shelter. They're just like
no shelter.
Sticks and boards over them to try to cover them from the torrential downpours.
And it almost always thunderstorms on Exile Island.
Yeah.
So this Ghost Island, they've got a shelter. They've got a raised floor off the ground. They don't have to sleep on the ground. Apparently, they have copious amounts of rice. Both of these people had pots full of rice.
And did you see...
Fire. There's fire.
When Chris was there, next to him was one of those, like, spear fishing poles and some flippers.
What in the world?
So,
it's like a luxury. It's like a reward at this point. We're saving this person. They don't have to go to tribal council. And you get a potential to play a game where you might win benefit in the game. And it's kind of luxurious. Gives you a chance to sit and think and cry.
Yeah, very, very odd.
I mean, you do lose out on the gameplay, which is a huge part of Survivor, the social gameplay.
Yeah, and I think that has to be the big downfall.
Yes.
It does seem like there's certainly some benefits for going.
Mm-hmm.
You're safe from tribal council. You have this opportunity to play a game, which currently only Jacob's gotten to play a game so far, but we know more games are coming in the future.
Right.
So you at least have this opportunity, and you get to eat some food, and I feel like just being able to get away from people might be nice.
Yeah, definitely.
In a little bit, but then you're right, you're losing that social aspect.
Yeah, I think every person, well, maybe not when Donathan was there, but the other two people that went, when Jacob and Chris went there, the game shifted. Who voted out was shifted because of them not being there.
Yeah, and so Chris got sent to Ghost Island this week after the immunity challenge, and he got a little bit emotional.
He did, which it kind of helped me to see that, because I tend to think of him as a little bit of a jerk.
Yeah, he does seem kind of like he was very bossy to Angela tonight, telling her this: you got to think, you got to get your head on your shoulder, stop being so emotionally tied to these people. We got to get them out. And I was like, settle down.
Yeah, I appreciated seeing a little vulnerability from him. Talking about his mom's illness, and he had to let out some negative energy, he said, and that was good to see. Gives him a little humanity.
Yeah, and so he got saved. But we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. Yes. So this challenge was very interesting. It was another pretty complicated one. They started with these ramps, these angled ramps that they would have to jump back and forth across. Then they had to dig out a ladder from some sand. They ran this ladder over to something. Somebody had to climb up the ladder 15 feet in the air, get a rope, and they'd take the rope, throw it up so they could climb up another ramp, and then they had to make a puzzle.
And then get up a ramp without a rope, too.
Get up a ramp without a rope, and then build this puzzle. So there's a lot of parts and pieces to it, and
it required a lot of teamwork.
And both the teams seemed to do really, really well.
Yeah, it was pretty neck and neck, right down to the puzzle. The puzzle just started putting together faster for one of the teams. But those ramp walls at the beginning, I don't remember seeing that before. The first couple guys just parkoured their way right through it. And then Donathan got across right away. He did kind of a 2-foot on each ramp, which was a different strategy.
Yeah, that was the only way he was going to do it. And what was interesting, right, is that Donathan did it the first time, and Angela, the warrior woman, the military lady, missed it. You know?
Yeah, I think she might have missed it twice. I think she was the last one to go across.
And so a couple people, and Desiree was the last person on Malolo to get across, and Navidi had a real good lead there getting across the ramp and digging up the ladder. And so, but then once they got to the ladder, things kind of evened up. They sent Donathan up the ladder.
Again, he scaled that ladder. He got the rope down first. Now, my question is, would Donathan have gotten across those ramp walls? Would he have scaled the ladder as quick as he did if he hadn't succeeded last time in that swimming challenge?
That's a great question. I believe that there's something changed and that is giving him a real edge, because we just saw him go for it tonight.
Yes, without any hesitation. You never would thought of him as a weak player in any way. But last time after he did the swimming, he said, I always thought of myself as someone who just can't do things. And that's not what we saw tonight. Yeah. We never saw any hesitation. So I think he proved something to himself, and I think he changed his game. Yeah,
I'm very excited to see the continued evolution of Donathan. I hope he stays in the game for quite a while. That's going to be really, really fun. But last episode, he got a ton of airtime, very little this time. Very little edit.
Yeah, I didn't even think he was at tribal council when you said who'd you vote for. I'm like, he's not on this tribe.
Yeah.
I never heard his voice.
That was crazy. And so, but then they both got to the puzzle pretty quickly or pretty evenly.
Yes.
But I guess the Malolo, new Malolo tribe with Bradley, the complainer, and Wendell. No.
Wendell's Navidi now.
Okay, so it was Wendell and Lauren were struggling.
They were struggling.
And it was Bradley and somebody else that were doing the puzzle, and they just knocked it out.
Yeah. It was a weird puzzle.
It was very strange.
I have no idea what's going on. I wonder if multiple pieces would have fit. It had like these square pegs. If you could have put multiple 2-pronged square pegs into the holes, or if it was only one that would fit each time.
Yeah. And I don't know. And
when you're watching it, you think, oh, yeah, sure, that kind of makes sense. But I can imagine it would be really confusing and especially stressful in the moment. I can totally see choking or having a hard time with it.
Yeah, imagine just trying to do a regular puzzle without having the box or the picture to look at what it's supposed to be. And you're just like, I don't even know. I have no idea. Is it supposed to be small and then big?
Yeah.
Like what? We don't even know.
The finished thing was kind of like a Easter Island head or something. Yeah.
So they did really good, and they won, so that meant everybody on Malolo is safe, and Navidi gets sent to tribal council. But then the winning team, Malolo, had to choose somebody from the losing team to send to Exile Island.
And it had to be unanimous. Which is hard because you've got a split tribe.
A freshly split tribe, and they couldn't decide. The one team wanted to send Donathan. Donathan's old teammates didn't want to send him. There was a split in that, and so it came down to just a stone draw. Jeff had a bag with 8 stones. 7 of them were black, 1 white, or something like that. Mm-hmm. And Chris Noble picked the white stone and got sent to Exile Island.
Yeah, so it was just random. That's probably a pretty fair way to do it with the split tribe. I thought it was interesting at first that they didn't want to send Donathan because it seemed like it was Stephanie Johnson who was saying not to send Donathan, and she was from his tribe. So we thought if they're trying to keep like their old Malolo tribe together, then why wouldn't she want to send him? But then we started thinking about the vote, and they wanted to keep the vote as even as possible, we think.
Yeah, so sending out an old Navidi player to Ghost Island makes it 4-4 vote.
Yep. And we don't have a clear majority going into the other side, which I know it'd be super hard to switch your alliances, but at this point, it just seems like you need to cling to your new tribe and not stick to your old whatever. But you want to stay in the game, so if it's to your benefit to stick with your majority from your old tribe, then I guess you do that.
Yeah. And so we saw instantly a lot of stuff going on, a lot of chatter. Chris isn't there to keep the heat on Dominic, who Chris was really focused on getting out. And so now things are kind of up in the air, and a lot of people are talking, and it was a little bit difficult for me to follow.
Oh, it was so confusing.
Who was wanting to do what and who was. I thought that Libby and Morgan were aligned. I have a note here, like, I'm excited about seeing that team up
because they were one Navidi and one Malolo. They weren't originally on the same tribe.
Yeah, and they connected. Oh, we're both Catholics.
Yeah,
I could just feel like I can trust her. I feel like I know her. We just connected. I was like, oh, that's going to be a great team up.
And the thing is, I think there was some of that was genuine, but when it came down to when it's time to vote, you can't always stick with your friendships.
Yeah, and so when the old Malolo and new Navidi, that's confusing, got together, and somebody brought up the name, they said, we need to get rid of Morgan or Wendell, and somebody's like, well, we need Wendell. I think I like Wendell a lot.
Yeah, I do too.
And she's like, maybe we need Morgan too. I couldn't figure out why they didn't want to get rid of Angela. Like, why not just get rid of Angela? Yeah,
it doesn't feel like she's done well in competitions necessarily.
Yeah, it seemed easier, and if there's a connection with Morgan and Libby, that seems like it makes sense. But for whatever reason, they ended up going with Morgan.
Yep, and Angela was on Dominic's tribe originally, and so she didn't want to go back and try to vote out Dominic, which is what Chris wanted. She wanted to stay loyal to her old Navidi tribe.
And I like that. I like
that. Yeah.
She's just like, this is what is the right thing to do at this point in the game. I don't think she's against, telling some lies or manipulating things, but she's like, at this point, there's no reason to do it. I'm just going to stay strong to old Navidi.
Yeah. Somewhere in all the negotiations, that's when Dominic showed his fake idol to some of the tribe. Yeah, a little bit confusing. He also at one point swore on his children, which we've talked about before.
What was the guy from season 12 or season 13 that had that crazy hair and he just quit smoking?
I want to say Shane.
Shane.
Yes.
And he was swearing on his kids. And then he wanted to go back and he was like,
it was like a huge conversation.
I need to give me the names of my kids back. And they're just like, what are you talking about? Yeah, fine. That was so good.
I guess you can tell he really meant it. I just think that's that phrase would never, it would never occur to me to utter that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my goodness.
And all right. So ultimately that tribal council was pretty interesting. A lot of conversations. It started out, they were like, oh, we're just kind of the four and four are kind of together. But as the tribal council went on, we found out, there's a lot of conversations happening.
Right. And a lot of people were trying to see if they could get somebody to switch over, see where everybody's alliances lay.
Yeah. And so the vote came out, and it was very interesting. And every time Angela's name got read, you just saw her just like go, her eyes just kind of get wider. Like, what is going on?
Yeah, she never would have thought that she was even in the running. So it was most of Old Navidi voted for her. That was Wendell, Dominic, and Morgan. So that was her own tribe that kind of turned on her. Here, she's the one who wanted to be loyal to her own old tribe, and then they went and turned on her.
Yeah, and you could tell that was an absolute blindside for her.
Yeah, she's not going to worry about being loyal next week.
No, absolutely not. And then Angela voted for Libby, so she picked an old Malolo person to vote out.
And it must be what she thought the rest of her tribe was going to do?
I guess so. I don't know why you would pick Libby.
Yeah.
Like, maybe, yeah.
Maybe she's kind of weak. She might want to, as far as winning competitions.
Yeah. And then the other one that kept getting votes was Morgan, and you just saw her just like...
It was crazy to have both of the main vote getters feel like they were blindsided. Yeah. I don't remember seeing that before either. That was kind of neat.
Yeah.
Usually word gets out, and people kind of know what's coming, when especially at least, or one of them at least would know what's coming. So that was all the four Malolo united to vote out Morgan. So that was James, Laurel, Donathan, and Libby. All voted out Morgan.
And so it was interesting when Jeff asked Libby, are you willing to backstab? Are you willing to lie? And she was very honest. I was actually surprised. Like, I can't believe she's being this honest about, like, hey, this is a game.
Yeah.
And we're all trying to win. And sometimes it might be the case that's going to happen. And it seemed like Morgan was like, yeah, sometimes you're going to have to do that. She didn't realize, nor did I realize, that it was this very moment that Libby was lying.
I think she actually said, even sweet Libby's eventually going to have to lie in this game, and it was happening right then. Yeah. She didn't know. Oh.
Yeah, that was, and Libby didn't want to do that, but she had to stay strong, or she would have just been an outcast from both tribes.
Yeah, I think she made a wise decision. So and really, it's a 7 or 9 day friendship at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't throw away your game for that.
So So, Amber, talk to me a little bit about what you think about this legacy advantage that Morgan
or the legacy
had.
curse. I don't know.
I think it's right.
So Jacob touches the legacy curse, and then he's gone. He gives it to Morgan, and she's gone. I mean, we've only had 3 people voted out, and 2 of them were connected to this legacy advantage. So apparently, as you're kicked out, you get to will it to another person, and she willed it to Dominic.
Yeah,
so that was kind of surprising. I didn't realize they had a connection necessarily, but
so now he has a real So he has a
real idol, a fake idol,
and this one that only works when there's 13 or 6 people. It's a weird. The legacy one is a bizarre kind of thing. But I think that in the whatever season it was originally used also kind of felt cursed. Somebody got voted out with it.
Yes.
And so it's just the curse of Ghost Island just seems to be continuing with that legacy advantage. So I don't know if Dominic's going to be very excited to receive that, but
I think he will. I think people think it'll be good, but it is interesting how people keep getting voted out that have it. Now Morgan, I don't think told anybody that she had it. Did she? That was part of the thing. Jacob told somebody he had it.
Stephanie knows because Jacob told her.
Oh, interesting. Was Stephanie part of this vote? No,
Nope,
she's on the other tribe.
tribe.
Okay, maybe not then. But she may have passed it on to somebody. We don't know. It never got brought up in conversation that we heard. But that may be a reason she was targeted. We didn't understand why they were targeting Morgan. She seemed so great.
Yeah. Yeah, so ultimately just a fantastic episode, just was very, very interesting, and I'm glad that it's interesting this early. A lot of times these early episodes, you're just kind of weeding people out and you're getting to know people, but there's a lot going on. We even saw those previews for next episode that both tribes, somebody has a hidden immunity, and both are saying, we can change this game up right now. And so I think
I saw Stephanie looking nervous. She's one of my players I thought would go really far, and she sounded like she was afraid she was going to get sent home. So I'm curious to see what happens there.
Yeah. Are you still liking Stephanie? Or
yeah,
still
I felt
kind of
like
rooting
she was.
for her?
I mean, we didn't get much from her this week. There's so many players you can't get a lot about each one, but I still feel like she was such a good player last week. This week, we did see Angela play a little bit more. That was good. Dominic, there's something I kind of like Dominic.
I do too.
I think because I don't like Chris, and Chris.
Yeah, they're kind of being.
You got to pick one or the other.
Really kind of putting them at odds with each other.
Yeah.
Last week we also didn't get anything from Libby. What do you feel about Libby after hearing a little bit from her this episode?
Yeah, I didn't notice her competition skills. I'm kind of interested in that, but she's super cute, and she seemed, I think she's trying to play a good game. I think. She said at one point that she might act dumb, but she's not dumb.
Yeah.
So I think that's an interesting way to play. I think that's smart. You're young, you're cute. You can kind of pretend like you don't know what's going on, but I liked hearing that maybe she does.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, Amber, we like to end each episode, as you know, by giving our choices for who outwitted, who outplayed, and who outlasted in this episode. So who do you think outwitted people in this episode?
Who swung that Morgan vote? Was it James? Was it Laurel? I didn't hear Donathan really push. So who chose the Morgan vote? I think it might have been James.
James, for some reason, I think I don't quite understand why exactly Morgan got sent out, but I do think that the outwitted has to be one of those 4 old Malolo. They're
he
in a
united. He got Libby, or somehow they got Libby to stay on their side, which is what they needed. Angela just screwed up by not voting.
Yeah.
Well, she couldn't vote for herself. So part of the problem, Angela's tribe turned on her. That's the problem.
Maybe we should give it to Libby because of the way she played Morgan. She had to.
Okay, you're right.
So if we pick the 4 of those, we'll give James second place and we'll give Libby first place for outwitting Morgan. Even though she didn't want to do it, she had to do it for the betterment of her game.
I agree.
All right, so who outplayed tonight?
Who outplayed?
So I think Donathan, you mentioned, played really great in the one competition we saw, and so we could put him in the running.
We could. Sebastian was a beast again.
Always. I mean, Chris Noble, even if we don't like him, he's very powerful in those competitions. But But I don't think we should pick somebody from the team that lost. So I think Chris Noble and Donathan are out. We'll have to go with Navidi team, which is who we got on the Navidi team, Amber?
We have Donathan. No.
Brandon.
Navidi lost.
Navidi lost.
Because they're the ones who sent
you're right.
Morgan home.
You're
Malolo.
right.
So we got Brandon, Bradley, Michael, Sebastian, Kellen, Chelsea, Stephanie Johnson, Desiree, and Jenna. So who did the puzzle? That was
That was Bradley and somebody.
Oh, I don't want to vote for Bradley. Little crybaby.
So we're going to give the outplayed to the person that wasn't Bradley doing the puzzle. Who we don't know who that is.
There's too many players in this game.
Too many players. So the not Bradley puzzleman wins.
Yes.
That.
Woo! I love the way they played. He or she was amazing.
And let's give Outlast to our friend Chris Noble because he was supposed to be out tonight and he
outlasted
He managed to skillfully pull that white marble.
Wendell and Dominic really wanted him gone. I think Malolo would have been happy to jump on that. The old Malolo people would have been happy to jump on that so that they could stay in the tribe. So, I think he would have been gone if he wasn't in Ghost Island.
All right, there we go. Well, we'd love to hear who you think outwitted, outlasted, and outplayed in Season 2, or Episode 2 of Season 36 of Ghost Island, Survivor Ghost Island. That's great.
You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at SegmentsCast. You can email us your thoughts at segmentscast@gmail.com.
Yep, and we want to say thank you to At of Hauntings for the graphic design work that she did for Segments and Segments Has Spoken. She does a great job if you want to get anything designed. She's taking commissions at Of Hauntings on Twitter. And we also want to thank EDM Samurai, our nephew Gabriel, for the intro and outro music.
Absolutely. You can find him on SoundCloud at EDM Samurai.
And we will see you next week for Episode 3 of Survivor Ghost Island.
Grab your torches, head back to camp.